She gets up and she says, Patrick, this is very hard for me to say this. And let me tell you why it's very hard. I said, what's that? She says, ever since in high school, I wanted to prove to men that I can beat them. So when I graduated high school and college, I opened up my salon. We do very well. I've made millions of dollars. My people and my work that work at the salon, they do very well for themselves. I drive a nice car. I have a nice house. I have money. I have millions. I don't worry about any of that stuff. You know what decision I made last night? I said, what's that? She says, I want a husband. I no longer want to compete with men. I need them. And I'm like, what? She's saying this in front of 2,000 people with her sister sitting right next to her.
Wow.
And now she's getting emotional. How many 65-year-old women do we have to hear saying that I marched with the feminist movement and I bought into the fact that men are the enemy? I've never been married. I'm alone and I'm miserable and I wish I would have never bought into that philosophy.
Men and women are designed to complement each other, not compete against one another.
8. I was confused being called bossy because I wanted to direct the plays that we would put on for our parents, but the boys were not. When at 14, I started to be sexualized by certain elements of the media. When at 15, my girlfriends started dropping out of their beloved sports teams because they didn't want to appear muscly. When at 18, my male friends were unable to express their feelings. I decided that I was a feminist, and this seemed uncomplicated to me. But my recent research has shown me that feminism has become an unpopular word. Women are choosing not to identify as feminist. Apparently, I am among the ranks of women whose expressions are seen as too strong, too aggressive, isolating, and anti-men, unattractive even. Why has the word become such an uncomfortable one?
It's become uncomfortable because women have made it uncomfortable. The movement is uncomfortable for men, and women don't like the pushback that men are giving. So now it's like, why don't you like me? Why do you see me as bossy? It's because you're misogynistic. This isn't feminist, but maybe you were bossy. Maybe you individually were bossy and the men weren't. Maybe they were more cooperative.
Since women are urging men to be more sensitive and caring, perhaps men should encourage women to be more logical and level-headed. Emma Watson criticizes typical male preferences, yet she has publicly dated many tall, popular, wealthy, and masculine men over the years. Why not publicly date shorter, more effeminate, and less affluent men, while taking on the provider role with the fortune she made acting? It's a bit contradictory.
Men don't need women, women need men. Men could survive without women. If all the women disappeared tomorrow, men would be fine outside of reproduction. Women need men. If tomorrow they made artificial wombs, what would they need a woman for? Who's a better companion, men or women? So men built the world. All the hard jobs are done by men. If men disappeared tomorrow, society would collapse. Men built the world that we complain about.
Arguably, one of the driving forces for men doing what they do is women.
Is women.
I think men built this world for women.
What I'm saying is men could survive without women. Because men can be alone, women can't. Women are social beings. We need attention, and men don't. You don't see women going out to the woods and just roughing it. That's a man thing. Who's camping and fishing? It's not us.
It's not that we don't crave attention. We just keep that desire to ourselves because society expects us to behave that way. Being alone doesn't bother me. I'm used to it. But what I can't get used to is the constant drama and unnecessary chaos that comes with being involved with a woman.
I don't understand where the "we don't need men" argument is even an argument. But the saddest part about it is that it's women's reaction in an age where men have expressed that they feel like the only value that they bring into a relationship or to the world is what they can provide. They talk about how they feel like they are not born with innate value like women are. So the reaction is to tell them, no, actually, that's not so valuable because we can actually do all that stuff ourselves. It's so messed up.
What's truly messed up is how many women pretend to be compassionate and caring until you bring up men's mental health issues. It's men who have built a society that is safe, stable, and prosperous enough for women to feel they don't need men anymore.
Men or women? Who has a harder life?
Women.
Women have a harder life?
Yeah. Woman. Yeah. Woman.
Why?
Because we have to deal with inequality for a long time and currently do so as well.
What do men have that women don't?
Basic human rights.
Which right do?
For instance,
payments.
And you guys have free, I'm not gonna say what it is, but we don't have like the same access, for instance, to birth control. Like our
men have access to birth control?
No, Viagra. For instance, your medical plan covers that, and my medical plan doesn't cover birth control.
She called Viagra birth control. Considering her intellectual level, it's clear she's facing a tough life.
A loyal woman's love will have you confused. Like, if you do one or two things now, if first off, you take her kindness for weakness, or two, if you mistake her love for an inability to leave you, it'll have you bamboozled. It'll have you thinking that she's so whipped, no matter what you do, she ain't going nowhere. She ain't going nowhere. You're the only man that even exists in her world. And if she feels like her cup is starting to run empty because you're not pouring effectively, she would take her love and she will redirect it strictly towards herself, for herself. And now that same love that had you feeling like you was the only man in the world will have you feeling like you don't even exist in hers, because you don't. And you can't wait for her to start complaining and nagging, because some women are just beyond the stage of warning men. They'll express their needs, they'll communicate their boundaries. But if you're showing her what your true colors are, they will show you that their boundaries were nothing to play with by showing you the door.
Do we need men?
No.
Do we need men?
Honestly, no.
Do we need men?
No.
Why?
Because they suck.
I'd give anything to watch those women spend a single day as a plumber. Go be a plumber. Operate as a plumber for 9 hours. See if you can last. See if you can cut it for a single day in a manual labor job that virtually only men do. And then you'll see exactly how necessary and essential men are to society.
These women are a perfect example of why fathers are so important. It's unfortunate that our society has produced women like this. Why would anyone say such hateful things about their fathers, brothers, husbands, or sons? These women, who claim they don't need men, are living their lives in the comfort provided by things built and created by men, which they take for granted.
What is a time where you felt that you failed that you learned a valuable lesson from?
That's such a hard question. Getting divorced was a big lesson.
Okay.
Yeah.
How come? What happened?
For a long time, like in your 20s and 30s, like getting married was a big goal, and I got married. And then I realized that that's not everything. Mm-hmm. And what I learned through being married was that knowing who you are, knowing your values, and knowing your non-negotiables is so much more important than anything else. It could be more important than the person that you love. And that was a huge lesson for me.
So do you think you didn't know yourself before getting married?
I think I didn't really know how important my values were to me before I got married.
What is true love like, in your opinion?
When I find out, I'll let you know.
Why did it not work, if you don't mind me asking?
Because I wanted to work so much that I was willing to overlook aspects of him and myself that didn't align with my true values, and that's why it didn't work.
The takeaway here is, don't get married unless you truly understand and love who you are first.
There's been so many times where women say to me, it's like, oh, I told him I want a divorce, but hoping he'd come back for me, but he let me pack my bags. So sometimes they file for divorce or take it that far as a way of testing their partner. And if they're with quite a healthy partner, they'll think you mean it.
So many women try to...
I like when she said this.
Sometimes they file for divorce or take it that far as a way of testing their partner. And if they're with quite a healthy partner, they'll think you mean it.
The easiest way to lose a confident man who knows himself is to use this type of strategy. It only works with guys who aren't sure about themselves or are dependent on their spouse. Don't try it with a mature and secure guy because you are going to lose him.
Test their men constantly.
It's an evolutionary thing because here's the reality. Childbirth is potentially fatal. So to put that risk onto a relationship, he better be able to endure all types of storms. So we have to test them. So we have to, unfortunately, test them. We have to test, are they going to be faithful, financially stable, have their own boundaries? Now, the problem is, unfortunately for men, when we push you and you succumb to us, you automatically lose us. What we're saying when we're pushing you is really make sure you don't give in to this, because if you do, then I know you're not strong enough.
Oh my God, give me an example.
It might be something like I push a man to say, I'm going to come home when I want. I'm going to come on girls' trips. I'm going to do whatever I want. And then when you actually give in and say, okay, essentially she feels like she's not being protected. So she feels like nobody's governing her.
You don't have a spine.
You're not responsible. Or she might say, I'm talking to my ex-boyfriend, and you say, I don't feel comfortable with that. She'll be like, no, you have to, I have to. Fine, he accepts it. Essentially, she's saying that you don't mind if I have an affair. Bye. Essentially, what we're begging for sometimes is the boundary. We're not looking for you to bow down. So hard for men to figure that out. Though.
Right.
I feel so bad
So
for men.
funny.
It's like reverse psychology all the time, unfortunately.
I will let 10,000 women go if they try that. A healthy woman shouldn't be asking for divorce unless she means it. It's a serious matter. A good man, at least in my culture, will tell her to take space, maybe spend time at her parents' home, to think whether that is what she truly wants. They also risk getting the boundary enforced. Guys with a backbone and options won't try to control you. We will just let you go on your way.
There's been some great work on what behavioral markers predict divorce in couples counseling. Really solid work. Okay, so here's one predictor. When the couple is talking in front of a therapist and one of them or the other or both roll their eyes, there's like a 95% chance they're going to be divorced within 6 months. And that's contempt, eh? But here's another cool fact from that research. If you have people track the number of positive and negative interactions with their partner, you can calculate ratios, and then you can see what the ratio is that lends itself to the successful maintenance of a relationship. And so you might think, well, the more positive interactions, the better. And that's kind of true. So if it falls below 5 positive to 1 negative, the relationship is in danger. But if it rises above 11 to 1, the relationship is also in danger. Well, you want support and love, and you want most of your interactions to be positive. But you want your partner to slap you now and then when you're being stupid.
He's referencing research from the Gottman Institute, which is considered the gold standard when it comes to predicting relationship success. Gottman also identifies the 4 horsemen of relationship destruction: contempt, stonewalling, defensiveness, and criticism.